Welcome back to our channel, The Research Guild. Today, we're going to unlock a skill that is so powerful, it's basically a research superpower. I'm talking about the ability to see not just what people think, but why they think it. In a world that's just flooded with information, figuring out how to identify and compare different perspectives, well, that's the key to really understanding pretty much any issue. So let's get right into it.
Have you ever been in one of those debates where it just feels like you and the other person are speaking different languages? You make your point, they make theirs, and you just kind of go in circles until someone says, all right, let's just agree to disagree. But what if you could look deeper than that? What if you could actually understand the entire worldview behind their opinion? That is exactly what we are going to break down today.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to nail down what a perspective actually is. Then, we'll take one apart to see all its moving parts. After that, we'll put all that knowledge to the test with a couple of really fascinating case studies. And finally, I'll show you exactly how to use your brand new research superpower. All right, first things first, what exactly is a perspective? Now, I know it's a word we all use every day, but for what we're doing, we need to be a little more precise. This is all about getting past simple opinions and starting to understand the structured thinking that holds them up. The best way to think about a perspective is like a pair of glasses. It's the lens that someone sees the world through. See, it's not just some random thought they had, it's a whole system. And it's coherent. It's built out of their personal background, their way of reasoning, and the evidence they trust. And that lens shapes everything they see and how they make sense of it. So if a perspective is a system, that means we can take it apart. We can deconstruct it piece by piece, kind of like an engineer taking apart an engine just to see how it works. It's all about understanding what makes it tick. So let's look at the building blocks. And here they are, the 5 key components. Step 1, you find the conclusion. That's the main point, the big argument they're making. Then, step 2, you look for the reasons that are holding it up. Next, you examine the evidence. What facts and data are they actually using? Number 4 is the tricky one. You have to uncover the unstated assumptions. These are the hidden beliefs that connect everything together. And finally, you have to consider the context. Who is saying this? Where are they from? And when did they say it? It all matters. Okay, let's put this framework to work. In our first case study, we're going to see how 2 totally different sources can end up sharing the same fundamental perspective on gender equality. This quote from the United Nations is pretty powerful, right? It frames gender equality not just as a human right, but as something absolutely essential for a prosperous world. Now, let's see how a much more local source actually says something very, very similar. Now, when we break these 2 down side by side, something really interesting pops out. On the surface, they look pretty different. The Kenyan official is focused on national economics, using local African data. The UN is taking this big, global human rights approach. But if you just look at their core conclusions, they're identical. They both argue that gender equality is essential for prosperity. They're sharing one core perspective, just looking at it from different angles. So we've seen how different sources can share a perspective. But what about the other way around? Can 2 completely different worldviews actually lead to the exact same and often really controversial conclusion? Let's check it out with our next case study, doping in sports. Just imagine this for a second. You have a journalist whose job is all about reporting on what's happening right now, and a philosopher who thinks about ethics and big ideas. What if they both argued for the exact same, pretty shocking idea? How on earth could that happen? And here it is. We have a journalist and a philosopher who both come to the same conclusion. We should legalize performance-enhancing drugs in sports. Whoa. But look at their reasons. They couldn't be more different. The journalist, Kirkup, is coming from this super pragmatic place. He's saying fairness is already an illusion and regulation would make things safer. But the philosopher, Savulescu, is looking at it from an ethical and logical angle, basically arguing that the current ban just doesn't work. Same destination, 2 totally different journeys. So, by understanding this whole anatomy of a perspective, you've just unlocked an incredibly powerful tool. And this isn't just about getting a good grade in a class. It's about becoming a smarter, more critical thinker in general. Let's do a quick recap of your new superpower. You now have the skills to look at any article, any speech, any report, and boom, find the core argument. You can understand why people disagree, not just that they disagree.
You can compare their arguments fairly, you can spot those sneaky hidden assumptions, and you can become a truly active and critical reader. Seriously, this is a skill that's going to help you way, way beyond the classroom. So, I'll leave you with this question. What issue will you analyze first? Think about a topic you really care about, or maybe a debate you had with a friend recently. How can you use this 5-step framework to see that issue in a completely new light? And if you're ready to start practicing, we've got your back. We made some worksheets to help you really master this skill. The link is right down in the description, so you can go download them and start sharpening that new superpower right away. And that's all for today here at the Research Guild. If you found this helpful, do us a favor and hit that like button. And hey, share the issue you're going to analyze first down in the comments. I'd love to see it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and ring that little notification bell so you don't miss our next lesson. Remember, don't just see the argument, see the perspective behind it.